Welcome back, guys and girls, to another episode on the Falcon YouTube channel. We're back with another Student Sitdown. Really excited for this one. So join with me, Josh and Cailean. Honestly, really appreciate you guys coming on to this. This is the first time you've been on a kind of a YouTube style thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you guys and girls are going to take tons of value away from this, and we're going to dig into some parts that I think is going to provide tons of value, regardless of what strategy you're trading, because this is about psychology, right? I think that's the main part that we want to sort of get into. For a bit of context, so people know exactly where you are kind of in your journey, Cailean, you sort of first. How long have you been trading now? How long have you been in the game?
Yeah, so I've been about 18 months now,
Nice.
and it's quite good because I was trading for maybe about 3 months before I joined Falcon, so it was quite good to get into becoming mentored and all that in a sense, and not instilling these bad habits that sometimes without proper mentorship you can start to do. So I traded for about 3 months before, and it was actually kind of trading corrections, so like impulses and corrections, and then when I joined Falcon, about a year, just over a year now, so been trading with Falcon and made a lot of progress in the last year or so. So yeah, it's been good.
And what's your sort of trading like in terms of, are you more of a conservative trader, more aggressive in a sense?
Yeah, it's kind of trying it out at the moment. Like I'm taking a lot more like sort of entries at like the high probability areas, like risk entries there, and like forecasting, taking like the losses. Like I might take the third touch here. I'm happy to take that loss there. I'm happy to then take, if that tags me in and tags me out, happy to take the larger double bottom. So like I'm kind of trying that out at the moment, and it seems to be working well. And like I'm sort of having decent returns with like these high probability areas where you might have to take a few losses before you take a winner or whatnot. So yeah, like it's been good in that aspect.
And you kind of almost accept the fact that, right, I could take a couple of losses, might take a break even here and there, but I'll still catch the trade. You're kind of testing out, is that going to suit your personality type deal?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I think we all get to a stage where we test and we just find our feet, and then we experiment and think, and that's fine, you need to test. Josh, your sort of side of trading, how long have you been trading now?
So I've just been trading just over 20 months, so since the start of 2018. I invested in crypto like in 2017, then off the back of that I thought I wanted to move into Forex, something that was a little bit more stable in a way. So I quit my job to learn it full time, more towards like reading books and just learning it that way instead of like groups and things like that. So it was pretty interesting to see from that background, obviously going in from learning on the structure of the structure of the market, and going into kind of other trading groups as well. There's one that's based in London, which had like 50 different indicators on the chart, so it was kind of a lot of clutter. So going in from learning that simplistic way at the start, then something that was like just really confusing, then started Falcon at the start of this year. Nice. Just brought a lot of clarity to the market. Just really simple, and just you can see opportunities coming up like weeks in advance.
Yeah, and I think you've kind of developed a lot of consistency in your reviews in the morning.
100%.
I see it. I see the AM review.
Yeah, that's been a game changer. Honestly, because before, when I was starting out, like when I first started into trading, I didn't really have a strategy, like a concrete strategy. So building that up with Falcon, I was obviously journaling on my trades, but I didn't exactly know what I was thinking before I took the trade. So that's why doing the AM market review, I'll just forecast what I'm planning to take, and I'd only take a trade if I forecasted it. And that just means when I go back to review it, I've got solid evidence of what I was thinking in that moment and why I took the trade. Actually, one of the problems I have now is I'm not actually taking a trade, so I'm a lot more conservative than I'd want to be. Like whether it be like waiting for the extra touch or something like that. So using that AM market review just gives that a little bit more clarity of what I was thinking, and I can see why I didn't enter the trade.
So you're at a point now where you're doing that, and then you almost have a slight bit of perfection, which is like you said, right?
Exactly.
Where you're maybe not taking the trade, and you're getting to a point that where you're reverse engineering, looking at, okay, so why didn't I take the trade? Is there anything that's kind of come up recently? Any kind of aha moments, or is there a pattern that you see? Is what I'm kind of getting to, that you see of why you don't take a trade? Is it something that's complicated, or is it something that kind of stares you in the face, like, why did I take that trade?
It comes down to, I believe, or what I've seen from my journals is, in the moment, I'm asking myself a million different questions. Maybe talking myself like out of a trade, just saying, oh, this candlestick isn't very bullish, or it could lead to another low, so I might just wait. Because with myself personally, I want to be right. I think a lot of people just want to be right. So taking that loss is kind of a hit on my ego kind of thing. So it's just really trying to get past that, and I just accept that where I am in my journey, and just moving forward with a little bit more aggressiveness, really.
It sounds like to me that you're diving into a bit of self-awareness now, the fact that you're able to acknowledge that. You know, some people, you got to see that as a positive as well, because some people won't acknowledge that. The fact that you've acknowledged that you need to want to be right, there's only so much pain, and put it this way, there's only so much pain that you'll see forecasted trade, played out, I didn't take it because I was talking myself out of a trade, saying, oh, I'm not too sure about that candle. All those kind of things that won't take you. There's only so many of those that can happen until you're in the moment asking yourself that question, saying, I'm going to repeat the same mistake again. I need to take the trade. Why do I need to take the trade? Start asking the good questions again. And if that does stack up to your forecasting, then you've got it there. I think the best thing that you could do right now is in those moments. And it's hard, right? Because sometimes it happens too quickly and you just don't take the trade. But try to, next time when you talk yourself out of a trade, almost remember this conversation, remember this now, and then think, what could I do now to almost, as an insurance policy, make sure that doesn't happen, or reduce the amount of time, because you're not going to completely overnight start doing that. Start asking some good questions. So go back to the same forecast in the first place. So you see how when I'm doing the breakdowns and I'll cover something, for example, like Euro-Pound. Euro-Pound happened to be a 1% loss, is what it is. But again, I'll go back to the forecast was there. I forecasted the third touch. I'll go through the process. It's a running channel, this. So whenever I will look at something, and then I might say, oh, I'm not too sure about that candle. Oh, that was a bit impulsive. Didn't think it'd be that impulsive. I would have preferred it to be corrective. And you see how now I'm bringing my preference on the market rather than what is actually true logically. And I think you have to just be self-aware in those moments and say, hold on a minute, why am I pushing my beliefs on the market? It is what it is. And then when you can talk yourself back into it with the right reasons, and it's logical, you'll just start taking those trades. But you just can't force it. I think and I don't feel like you're forcing it as well. You seem to be quite happy with your reviews, and do you feel like you're progressing is what I'm kind of
100%. Yeah. And the reviewing, constant reviewing, like every week.
Because you're consistent with that, I see it. You know, you're consistent with your reviews every single time.
100%. I feel like it's a minimum that I need to do every week. You know, the week wouldn't be complete if I didn't do that review. So it's just it's a must. I think it should be for any trader, like going into like learning in the process. Because the routine is so important, and if you're not reviewing the trades, then it can just you can just lose yourself in the process, and you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't even know what trades you're taking.
Yeah,
exactly. Cailean, do you do a similar sort of thing? Do you do a morning review? What's your sort of process?
Yeah, so I normally I spend a bit more time in the evenings because I'm more of an evening person than a morning person. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I do a bit more in the evening, and then in the mornings. It kind of also depends like where the market is at the moment, because it's, you know, like especially when you're working full time, you in general you might not have the right amount of energy Monday to Friday to be consistently in like a good frame of mind. So it's almost like sometimes I'll have nights where I'll go to bed a bit earlier when I know that the market, you know, there might not be anything ready. So there's almost like I'm taking responsibility in a sense for my mindset. So I can if I need to go to bed earlier, slightly earlier, I can go to bed earlier and relax a bit more in terms of like, you know, even just putting work in, I can relax a bit more and say, you know what, I'm going to spend more time just watching like some easy content and then getting an early night's sleep, and then I can be more, you know, awake in the morning and feel better. Because sometimes like before, what I was doing was like just staying up late, almost like an ego thing. It was like, you know, like, oh, look at me, like, I'm staying up till like 1 o'clock in the morning, but actually I wasn't really learning anything, and what was happening is I was waking up and I was not in a frame of mind. So that's kind of switched a lot. And then just like in the morning, just forecasting again in the morning, kind of adding in a bit more into the forecasting as well in terms of like when we're in these high probability areas, it's like, right, I'm going to be in like a high kind of discretion mindset where like I'm going to almost like talk myself into these trades. So like euro dollar at the bottom at the start of the month, it was more like I would forecast it, I'm going to take this here. It's a high probability area, but I want to be like in a mindset where I'm focused. If I have to take a loss, my focus increases even more. But then it's also, you know, like because we're in a high probability area, I need to talk myself into the trades, as opposed to what I was doing before was I would get into these areas and then I would just be like, okay, like I'm here, I'm waiting for like a 1 hour retrace that never really happens. But it's more that you just want to be, you know, candlestick formation second, structure first.
Exactly.
So it's sort of, you know, I would get to these areas, and then what's changed a lot with me in terms of my forecasting and all that is like where we are in the market, what mindset do I want to be in? Like, am I in a really high like discretion, you know, like, or do I want to really be in these trades? And that's like that's definitely helped me a lot recently.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because it's like euro dollar right now. We can apply that to literally euro dollar right now. I didn't happen to get into euro dollar because I was driving to Amsterdam at the point, you know, but I could have applied some level of discretion to get in because we're in such a high value area. But it's fine, because then we just wait for the next correction. So you just go back, start asking the right questions again, you don't rush it, and how we see the market's not as fast as what people think. It actually takes a little bit of time. You know, euro pound before the drop, it didn't just drop straight away. It takes time. It goes up for another third touch, it breaks a little bit higher. So the market's not going anywhere, and I think people try to force that too much. But I think almost what you're applying there, like discretion with sleep, in that sense that, you know, if it is a point where the market is in a super corrective period, it's just moving sideways, you know, we're probably maybe 2 or 3 days away in terms of your watch list of when something's really going to be ready. Any trades that you take now are just forcing it.
Exactly.
You can then apply that discretion to say, well, do you know what? Now I can maybe indulge in a bit more content where I can just focus on this, because I'm not worried about this position going here or this position here. But on the flip side of that, if you need to go to bed a bit earlier because you know we're at high value areas, you want to be on the ball, liquidity in the market, maybe London session, for example. So I like that, because you're applying discretion in the right areas of even your sleep. So then you're able to apply the discretion in your trades in those areas, because when they're in the high value areas, they're not going to be perfect.
Yeah, and like by Thursday, Friday as well, when I'm working, normally I would just see that I'd be burnt out by Thursday, Friday, and my mindset, you know, it was almost like, especially on a Friday, I just wasn't really interested in the markets. I was so tired, and like I'd be in the office and I'd be, you know, like falling asleep at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Really?
And I'd be like trying to like, this was a while back, but I'd be trying to like look at the charts. Like my forecasting wasn't good. It wasn't like really sticking in my mind. And like you just sort of don't trust when you leave the flat in the morning. You don't trust the forecasting that you did in in the morning. So you're kind of, I was like at work and I was like, you know what, I just can't trade. But actually a lot of opportunities came on a Friday. But I'd be so burnt out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when there was nothing really happening. And like I probably knew that there was nothing happening. So yeah, that's helped a lot. Just like taking responsibility for
that's massive.
Actions
and you just feel overall good in your trading,
much
right?
better.
So you've done that. You've got your AM review. That's like your bare minimum of what you do to kind of pull yourself up on it, because it's there for you to see. Because let's say, for example, if things started spiraling out of control, you can reverse engineer it and say, okay, so if I still be doing my AM review, oh no, I haven't done it for 4 days. Why haven't I done it? So I like that. It's like your accountability to yourself every morning, which I think brings a really, really good process. Just out of curiosity, are you guys reading any sort of books at the moment, anything like that?
Yeah. Mental Game of Poker.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, Mental Game of Poker 1 and 2. I'm just on the second one now.
Nice.
And honestly, that's been a massive game changer. I think I don't think people talk about it enough. Because on the whole concept of the mental game of poker, it might be the kind of poker, but it is completely transferable to trading as well. Just being aware of anything that may put you off of your game when you come into trading. So it could be, you don't like making mistakes. It could be something like FOMO, but it's all about analysing like what you feel and what could impact your decision on making a trade, dissecting that, recognizing it. Why is it's logical to feel that way, because any mistake that you make is really logical. But when you look back at kind of what you should have done or how you should feel, and use that to kind of create like logic statements, it's called. Then you can refer to that when you're taking a trade and improve on it step by step by step. And that's what the mental game of poker does. It gives you a clear framework on how to improve on these things.
Nice.
Go from your worst game to your best game, which is called like A to C game. And just have that analysis and being aware of where you are in your journey, you can improve your C game, and at the same time you're making that your B game, and then you're expanding that on your A game, which is like being in the zone, focus, good decision making and things like that. And honestly, it's been
having
a real
the flow
game changer.
state and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And just being aware of all these different aspects of it and how it makes you improve as a trader, it's just been super helpful.
Yeah, I like how you've kind of transferred it to trading to help you out and things like that, because also accepting that you have random outcomes as well, and that you can't fully control it. You could have a bad hand, for example, but then still win. You know, you have to accept that. It goes back to, like, I love how it links into probabilities always, and you have to fully accept that you could do the right thing at the right time when you need to do it and it still not play out. And accept that, fully accept that. I think when you can kind of get to that acceptance and then kind of going into the trading and the zone side of things, I'm sure you've read chapter 7 many times, and you just realize that probabilities, you can't just think about probabilities in trading and kind of say, right, oh yeah, I think about probabilities in trading, but then I don't apply it to daily life. Have you noticed that yourself, where you kind of think about that? Now, I can't not think about probabilities in all areas of life, and it helps massively. And I was speaking to someone earlier about it at the meetup today, and it was about the property deal. The property deal, we lost money on a property deal, and I just saw it as a break even. Right, but I was able to cope with it. It was weird even at the time. I was thinking, it's just a break even. But if you're not a trader, you wouldn't think like that. You would see it as a loss, maybe dwell on it and think, I didn't make money. Why didn't I make money? Where I just saw it is what it is. You know, out of 10 property deals, 8 of them, they'll do really well. So again, it's like applying that same kind of probability mindset to all areas of your life. I think it's hugely beneficial, massively beneficial. To kind of finish up on your kind of journey, your journeys right now, what are your sort of next steps? You know, you've got your AM review, that's your accountability and things like that. Is there any other accountability things you're doing? Are you attending any groups, anything like that? What are your kind of next steps on your side, Josh?
And so we've started a meetup with the London meetup, which runs every month. About 20 of us gather in a room to talk through trade.
We had that the other day.
Literally last Monday. Last Monday.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been really informative. Like having Neil came on Monday. Cailean and Connor Ferguson was at the one before, and it's a really mix of experience in the room. So people talk through struggles that they're having, reviewing their trades, and of course you can implement that into your routine and bounce ideas to each other, things like that. And the best thing about it is always you keep it accountable as well. You know, you have one session and you work on something ready for the next session. Obviously, if you've not done that, then then you're going to feel a bit bad. So
everybody knows who's putting in the work and who's not.
exactly.
Do you feel the same?
I'd say so. Yeah, the accountability has really been really good as well. I attend the same meetups as Josh and things.
Nice.
So yeah, that's been good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think when you're surrounded by the right people, like-minded people, it almost sounds so cliche now, doesn't it? Surround yourself with like-minded people, but it's so true, because you can be yourself and someone can help you, and like you said, it's a mix of experience and things like that. I think that's what Falcon's all about. It's not about, right, you're at the top level, then you just stay with these people, you don't talk to this person. You know, we're here to help each other out, and I think these accountability groups, they're really key, and that's how we can see more success in the community. But guys, no, really appreciate you coming on this. I know this is the first time you've done something like this, so sometimes it can be a bit nerve-wracking, but you know what, you've got your processes. I think there's some key tips that they can take away from this, and what I love about you guys is that you've got the accountability and you're doing it, and that persistence will pay off. It just will. Those that persist will succeed, those that won't and tend to give up. and it really comes down to being that simple. But I hope you enjoyed the meetup today. How good was the energy in the room today?
Oh,
It was electric, wasn't it?
It was having some really good conversations, deep conversations as well, just not your average like hello, how are you kind of thing.
Exactly.
So honestly, so beneficial.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next one. It's going to be sick.
For sure.
But guys and girls, I really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Student Sit Down, so you can gain more of an insight into what people are doing in the community. And what it comes down to, like we spoke about, it really comes down to persistence, processes, doing the thing that you know you need to do when you need to do it. And that's the one thing that I really want you to take away from it. Really looking forward to in the future. Maybe we can have you on in the future, see how your progression's going, the journey's going. Always love doing stuff like that.
For sure.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Awesome. Guys and girls, really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Let us know in the comments your number one takeaways and what you're kind of going through, the emotions in your own journey right now. But speak to you soon. Have an incredible weekend.